In this lecture, we're going to continue our examination of the research process by starting with step 1, which involves the identification of a particular topic, an idea, or some sort of problem that afflicts many people with respect to a health issue that the researcher wishes to tackle. Now, the source of the identification of a research topic largely comes from the researcher's experiences, their observations, and these include their own educational exposure, perhaps observing something of interest in some of their own previous coursework, perhaps identification of a topic through the delivery of their own coursework through teaching, as well as other research opportunities or research collaborations that the researcher may have engaged in. Understanding the current state of knowledge with respect to an identified topic will help to guide the researcher in determining if that topic is something of interest in the healthcare field or whether it is worthy to explore. Some researchers may identify a public news item, but this has to be done with a great deal of caution, as engaging in what some may refer to as trendy research will often lead to not the most productive findings. Internet topics that have gone viral sometimes often serves as an impetus for beginning a research project, but it's important to note that these are usually short-lived topics when propagated over the internet. What I describe as a sugar rush. It may garner a great deal of interest immediately and over the short term, but does not last very, very long. Something that does last a little bit longer are potential interests identified by professional health organizations. One such example are the research priority areas identified by the CIHR. And these are defined as priority-driven research, which are the initiatives created by the Government of Canada to investigate those pressing health issues. And so by following the link here in the blue text, you'll be able to see that there are 38 identified priorities of funding by the CIHR. Now, in developing the research question, there are a number of considerations to take in mind. One exercise researchers can go through is asking the question through introspection. And that question is, what would I do to address a particular type of problem? And so one such example of a problem dealt with the government mandates and exercise during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, and so-called lockdowns. And so in this photo here you see an exercise facility, a gym that came up with some unique ways to allow people to come into the gym to exercise while maintaining social distancing, as well as some other measures to prevent the probability of infection. Another approach to take is typically to find the exception to any given rule. And what this basically means is that the researcher should consider all alternative possibilities to previous findings, even if some of those possibilities may sound not very doable or even absurd, but those such ideas should not be taken off the table until they're further explored. In terms of a matter of degree in developing the research question, it's important for the researcher to conceptualize how to make an observation and if that concept is considered valid by a particular discipline. So for example, if attempting to classify people according to personality, it's for some time the type A and type B personality have often been used, at least within the public realm, to make reference to these very um, general references to different personality types. Now, a matter of degree would suggest us to ask, is there a better approach? And so the field of psychology no doesn't really spend a great deal of time trying to classify people as type A or type B, but typically rely on what are called the big five personality traits. And so 5 unique elements of personality have been identified along a spectrum instead of classifying a person as type A or type B. And of course, within a research project, the concept must be operationalized. And what that means is that a general concept must be specifically defined as it relates to that one research item. The second step is to begin the process of identifying the existence of current literature and the current state of knowledge. And so at Ontario Tech University, this can be accessed through the library website, specifically by accessing the journal link here in order to find those journals within which the articles of interest exist. Another very popular website is the National Library of Medicine, or PubMed, where you can type in various search terms, and this will return a whole host of findings, publications that appear in scientific journals related to a specific topic. Moving on to step three. Step three involves the process of defining the problem, and that essentially points the research project into the direction. And so the researcher should ask themselves, what is the issue of interest? For example, is the research interest related to the management of some particular disease? It could also be related to the identification of a particular disease. Is that particular issue or is that problem significant? One source of information among many to examine are national trends. Is a particular ailment tending to increase? Is it tending to decrease? Is it staying consistent over time? And how many people are afflicted with that particular condition? Of course, these first two bullet items will point to the individuals to whom the issue is relevant. And so some examples here include patients, caregivers, as well as healthcare professionals. And then what are the ramifications of that issue or that problem? Other than the obvious health effects that a particular disease may have, other considerations can also be incorporated in defining the problem. That includes financial impacts, particularly as it relates to the accessibility of healthcare services. Is there a reduced quality of care that exists or is prevalent within a particular healthcare system? And that is not just applicable to patients, but it's also applicable to caregivers as well as healthcare professionals. And so although this slide number 9 here identified a number of very general ideas here, the questions here are the ones that should be answered when defining the problem prior to launching a research study. So this ends our second part to our lecture on the research process.